Hello, all. Now that you have read some informational texts about what memoirs are, you should have some pretty good ideas of the patterns and the common features. And I want you to read an example of a memoir. So we found this one from a publication called Teen Inc. And it is a publication that is written all completely by teenagers with teenagers as a target audience. So I think these memoirs are really of high interest. And for step 3, what you're going to do is read the memoir, this one's called Me and the Geography Bee. As you read, underline and label the features or the big ideas of a memoir. I also want you to just, read to understand what is happening in this story. So I'm going to go ahead and read it all together. If you want to use your read write or if you just want to read it silently, you're welcome to do that. Me and the Geography Bee. This was written in 2017, May 25th. Humiliation. That seems to be a constant theme of my life. Things like going to school with a horrendous haircut and tripping over a jump rope in front of my entire gym class make me believe that humiliation will hound me like a scorned ex-lover, except that I never loved it to begin with. Nothing echoes this idea more than my school's geography bee. I was in 5th grade, and the school was taking part in a nationwide geography bee, kind of like a spelling bee, except with, geography. I was one of 6 finalists at my school. 2 of us would advance to the citywide bee, then the statewide, and then the national. The only reason I'd made it this far is because I knew that Montreal was in Canada. My school didn't have a geography class, so the standards for a geography whiz were pretty low. I remember refusing to participate in the days leading up to the event. I have a stutter, and I was mortified at the idea of being laughed at by the entire school. But despite my stubbornness, my teachers pressured me into doing it. Ironic, since they're the ones always telling us not to give in to peer pressure. When I entered the gymnasium that Friday afternoon, the smell of prepubescent sweat and whatever chemicals used to clean that hardwood floors attacked my nose. The other students in the geography bee all vaulted themselves onto the stage like pros. But I have short, stubby legs, so I was the one kid who walked all the way to the other side of the stage and climbed the stairs while everyone watched me basically admit my defeat. Off to a great start. We sat in folding chairs looking out at the sea of bored students and parents. The moderator, with a slender build, short gray hair, and a disapproving pout, walked to her podium. I could barely hear a word she said. I was drowning in fear as I looked out upon the sea of judging faces. I was relieved that my teachers had promised we could write out our answers and have the moderator read them. I did not yet know that wouldn't spare me yet another run-in with my old friend, humiliation. Before I knew it, the first round began. "What is the capital of Idaho?" the moderator asked. How am I supposed to know the capital of Idaho? No offense to people from there, but I don't even think they care. I think they grow potatoes, and that's the extent of my knowledge of the state. That would merely be the first wrong answer of the travesty that was the geography bee. When the hour-and-a-half-long nightmare finally ended, I walked defeatedly to the car with my dad. "I'm so proud of how smart you are," he assured me. "Oh, thanks," I replied, appreciating the gesture, but not agreeing with the sentiment. I had looked like an idiot. Sure, a few other participants got all of the questions wrong too, but I still felt like the dumbest kid in the school. It's not that I cared about winning or even thought that I had the slightest chance of winning, for that matter. The problem was that I didn't even get one moment, not even 1 second, to take pride in myself. In front of the entire school, I made a mockery of myself. And after the weekend was over, I would have to go back to school and surely be ridiculed for my failure. The weekend passed in the blink of an eye. I entered school Monday morning preparing for the worst day of my life. I was sure of it. But something strange happened. Nothing. Not a single thing. I was greeted with the same smiles, same hellos. Barely anyone mentioned the geography bee, and when they did, it was congratulatory. People were impressed that I was even in it. That's when it hit me. The, quote, humiliating moments that make you feel like crawling into your own grave don't really matter. I was humiliated, and no one even noticed. I realized that mistakes are not a big deal, and others' opinions of you are even less worth fretting about. Life is too short to focus on every minor mishap. So, do I still regret taking part of the geography bee? Absolutely not. But would I ever do it again? Absolutely not. Okay, so there it is. Now what your job is to underline and label the features or the big ideas of a memoir. So if you set up here that, let's say that it needs to be about an everyday moment in your life. If you then underline the part that says, I was in the 5th grade and the school was taking part in the nationwide geography bee. Most people know about a spelling bee, and so they can kind of connect to that. That's an everyday event. So you could underline that, put everyday event, and then it would be written down here. Written about an everyday event that people can relate to. This is about a geography bee. You might notice that memoirs tend to have some sort of a lesson. In other words, the narrator learns something about themselves. A lot of times the lesson is at the end. So if you look, it does say here, I realize that mistakes are not a big deal and others' opinions of you are even less worth fretting about. Or you could focus on the part, life is too short to focus on every minor mishap and label that the lesson. And you're going to write about a lesson, and then right here, you're going to copy and paste that lesson there. You should have some other features that you learned from those texts, and that is what you're going to be writing down there. Good luck, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say in class.